Hey guys, how's it going? This is Jason. As some of you guys know, those of you who are new to following me, this is another update video of things that are going on here in A school, answering some of your guys' questions. Last video I'm going to make before I go back home on vacation for the first time since leaving boot camp. So this is going to be interesting. I'm going to try to do a video to keep you guys up to date on how vacation goes. Possibly make a video on my way there, headed to the airport, once I'm on vacation and the trip back, and once I get back from vacation I can possibly update that video, maybe get some good content for you guys, maybe some funny things. You get to see a little bit of my family and how crazy things can get back at home, if at all. Like, I never know what's going on at home since I've been here for so much. All I know is from what they tell me on the phone, so we'll see how that goes. I got some questions from one of my subscribers, Shameless Shalise, I think it is. If I got that wrong, I butchered that, I apologize. But she asked me some questions that I felt were actually not horrible to go over. She asked me, as one question, how was the peanut butter shot in boot camp? Now, the peanut butter shot, you get 2 of them. One, when you're the first couple of weeks you're there, like I think it's the first week, during P days you get one, right before they give you full duty and you're able to do workouts. So it's like an insulin shot, or if anybody has ever had Ibuprofen Shot, when they inject you, they put it in the fleshiest part, which is your butt, and they try to go gentle, but sometimes they can't. They get it right, in the muscle. With me, the way they did it, it almost seemed like they wiggled the needle around, and my leg started shaking because the muscle didn't like the needle being there, so the muscle started to contract. Other than that, the actual shot itself didn't hurt. The biggest fear of the shot is people with the fear of needles. They're anticipating it. If you just stand there, look at the corpsman that's in front of you, and just take it, it's over before you know it. The worst part is possibly the next day or later that day, depending on how tolerant you are to pain and how your body absorbs it. I didn't feel the pain till the next day, but some people felt the pain within a few hours. It's almost like there's a rock sitting under the skin, because it takes a little bit for your body to absorb it, accept it and absorb it. And people will be rubbing their butt, and of course you get your chiefs and petty officers making fun of you, telling you to stop doing it. It can be a little funny, especially when you got somebody who's just sitting there rubbing their butt, not paying attention to those around them, and they're standing in front of somebody else rubbing their butt right in front of their face. It can be a little funny, but it's not horrible. It's like a day, then you're right back to it. The second one you get, since you're full duty, if you get it and then they decide, oh hey, now we're gonna make you do scissor kicks or something. Now you're on your butt doing scissor kicks on top of that pain. So depending on where they inject it, it can really feel painful when you do those workouts. But the shot is to help you from getting sick. It's good for you. So you can't really say it's bad. And it's not long. Trying to remember back is what I'm doing. That's why I keep looking around. I'm trying to remember back. I didn't really find an issue with it. I've never been really scared of needles, so it's not a big issue for me. But as far as it goes, you just deal with it. You get multiple shots while you're in boot camp, so you just basically walk through it, get a shot in either arm, how many ever they need to get you, and then they stick the one in your butt and you're gone. You're done for the day. So it's the worst shot in the Navy, and I've had worse shots as in the civilian, getting the ibuprofen shot. The ibuprofen shot actually hurts worse in my opinion, because when they inject that one, it gives you a burning sensation when it goes in. So uh, having an ibuprofen shot actually, in my opinion, hurts like worse, like double. Uh, but don't worry about the shots. They're minor compared to the whole scheme of boot camp, and right now it's still only 8 weeks. So 2 months and you're done with boot camp. It's not really that bad. Uh, she also wants to know what made me pick my rate. Now, for me to pick my rate was a little different. I hear from the grapevine that there's coming up with changes that you can actually I guess here soon start picking my rate rather than picking a rate called AECF, which is the Advanced Electronics Computer Field, and then you don't know. When I did it, I didn't know what rate I was, or whether I was going to be an ET or an FC until I came close to graduating boot camp. So when they gave me my orders is when I figured out whether was going to be an FC or an ET. But ultimately, I picked AECF due to the fact that the training that you get, it's a 6-year contract just for that one. Okay, I'm planning on staying in a little longer than some guys, depending on how things work in the Navy. I'm actually planning to stay in, but my thoughts on that may change down the road. Right now, I'm just in school. But it's a guaranteed third class as of right now. That may change in the future, so don't take what I'm saying as a guarantee. Things change in the Navy all the time. They change in all branches all the time, so you have to be ready to go with the different changes that are going to happen. Let's see what else. But I wanted a change in career. I was a mechanic, and I got tired of working these really dirty, horrible jobs, hurting myself over every little itty bitty thing, and dealing with horrible customers that are drivers and customers bringing their vehicles in. It's just, as a mechanic, things can get stressful, and then on top of that, you're chasing the clock, trying to beat time to make better paycheck. Otherwise, you don't get very far as a mechanic, and you lose a lot of jobs if you're not very efficient at your job. It can be very stressful. A lot of people don't understand it, especially as a new mechanic. It can be stressful. Some people are natural at it where they can pick up on it and get it really good. Unfortunately, I couldn't get up on the speed as fast as other people could, and I just saw myself going down a path of dead end. It was basically going to be going from job to job and not knowing whether I was going to have a job the next day or not, because the auto industry can be very volatile and the diesel industry can be kind of cutthroat. So seeing that experience, I decided, hey, I wanted to get a paycheck that was consistent, so I picked the Navy. I looked at other branches, and they didn't exactly have what I was looking for. Navy provides all the same benefits as the other branches as far as pay and increase. I can actually go up on I'm not limited to just my boss's job. I can go as high as admiral if I were to push it. I'm not going to go that high. Or I could make it to MCPON or any of the very high ranks if I were to actually apply myself, and actually stay in for the amount of time to reach those goals. However high I get, depends on how well I do and how everything works in the Navy, because not everybody's experience in the Navy is the same. Everybody's experience is different. The other reason I picked the rate I picked is because since it's it's very heavy in the electronics industry. So learning how to use electronics, which I already kind of knew how to use electronics for computers because all cars are using computers. But this put me in further, even deeper into learning computers. So I learned basic electronics, which starts from the very basic atom all the way up to radar, where you're using radio. It teaches you about radio waves and how electricity moves from one part of the ship to the next part of the ship, which can be very. It can hurt your brain sometimes, especially some of the math that you sometimes have to use. Not often. What we learned in school probably is a lot worse than what I'll experience in the fleet, but still, it's stuff to learn. Uh, there's multiple jobs where I can get extra computer training where I'm basically working on computers, like in IT, or there's also jobs that I can basically work on circuit cards and circuit boards and of that nature to as repair, and that's actually a very nice one to have too. There's also similar to what I was doing as a mechanic, where I take machinery and I take it apart. I figure out what's wrong with it, and then I it gets put back together. And the electronics that are dealt with that, I have to still know how the electronics work with the mechanical side as well. So it's very in depth in the electronics industry and mechanical side of defense on the ship, which can actually, no matter which part of my rate as sub jobs I can have in my rate, I can actually transfer it to the civilian world if I decide that I don't want to be a part of the Navy anymore. It transfers really well. But I was looking at it from a career aspect. There's also people who pick their rates because they're just learning. They just wanted something to get their foot in the door to figure out what they're going to do with life, which is perfectly fine. There's guys that I know that pick the rate because that's their dream job. That's what they want to do, and the Navy's willing to teach them some of it and pay their education so they can learn even more on it. So it can go from anywhere. You just have to take the time to figure out what you want, and if you don't know what you want, look at something that you can at least be able to, that can be transferable into an education or into a career field if you decide that you're going to get out. That's my recommendation for picking a rate. Everybody has a little bit different of a recommendation. I picked my rate to help my career, and so I can learn more on the computer side, because I can always go back to being a mechanic, but knowing more about computers makes me even better a mechanic if I decide to go that way. So I believe it will help me in the long run. So that's it on why I picked my rate. Not very entertaining, a little boring, but informative. None the least, in my opinion, I think it is. You guys can let me know whether it is or not. You guys can tell me if I'm a boring sack of crap or whatever you want to say. She also wanted me to tell some boot camp stories. I don't really have good boot camp stories. My division that I was a part of really didn't get out there all extravagant. There may have been a couple of funny moments. But I'll work on that. I'll try that one for another video. Doing boot camp stories. I'll probably just label it boot camp stories. But here's I had an incident happen recently that I want to kind of talk about, because it's kind of crap that it happened. It shouldn't be happening. And guys who are doing it really need to stop doing it. And there needs to be people who are coming in to stop people from doing it. And I was headed down to Chicago. I was taking the train, which we do a lot because it's a lot cheaper to use the train than it is to get a cab or an Uber or something down there. So I'm on my way back from Chicago. And there's a couple of guys on the train that they've had some drinks. They got a little drunk. And they're being loud and belligerent. And no big deal. It's a public train. It happens. But there were some other guys there that were in their uniform as if they just got out of boot camp, and they were pre-buds, which is we call them pre-buds, but they're like the SWIC. They're the special forces guys. They're learning, they're training to go to buds for school, or to be a SEAL, or to do what job that they actually did. Some of them are divers too, but for them to be able to get the ability to wear civilian clothes, they have to do a lot, and which is a requirement of their job, because the Navy wants them to focus more on their physical fitness, focus more on their military bearing, and just basically have focus for that, because it's a very demanding career choice that they've picked. And these two guys are yelling across the train at him, going, basically making fun of them for being what we call phase one. They're still in uniform and they can't go off base in civilian clothes. And they're making fun of them and yelling across the train, trying to get their attention, and like have no regard with whether they're freaking special forces training or not. They're just being asses, basically trying to bully them or make themselves seem better than what they are. And it's kind of bullshit. I really wanted to say something to the guys, but unfortunately, it's them being drunk. I don't really confront drunk people because they have no sense of strength, and it could have caused an incident that that I didn't want to get involved in. I don't need the police getting involved in anything or anything like that. They were just yelling at that point. There was no harm getting good. Nobody went up and got anybody's face. Nobody freaking swung or anything. But it was just bullshit that they're picking on these guys, because these guys actually have a harder ability to be able to do what we're doing. We don't have to work that hard because we're not special forces. We don't have to train as hard as they do. And I think it's bullshit that we have people making fun of them because they lose some luxuries. I think it's crap. We're all sailors, or we're all on the same boat. We're in the military. Well, most of us is to the same rank, and if not, we're within one or two ranks of each other. So for them to be making fun of other people is bullshit. I honestly, I believe that if there was somebody who was higher ranking that would overheard that, they would have been sent to mast, gotten in trouble, busted down for making fun of other shipmates, because that's bullshit. It's bullying, and it shouldn't be allowed. And if you feel you get into the Navy or any of the branches and you feel that that's the way to act, unfortunately, I'm going to tell you that it's not the right way to act. And it's either going to catch up to you while you're in the military and you're going to get in trouble for it, or you're going to carry that through the military, out of the military, and you're going to start losing friends. You're going to actually get people who don't want to be around somebody like you, because you tend to be negative and want to stir things up. And as you get older, you don't want that drama. The drama is just bullshit. So why are we even acting that way? Why don't you just fucking adult up, treat everybody like the way they should be treated, as equals. We're not better. There's nobody better than anybody else. We all fucking work a job and we all get paid. Doesn't matter who you are, what you picked as a career choice, what skin color you are, or anything like that. You don't do that. That's bullshit. And I feel that to try to fix the issue at hand is to try to get out to as many people as I can before they even make it to boot camp, to let them know that be a good person. Every time you're a good person, you want to help people out, you make the world a little better place. When you start belittling people, bullying people, knocking them down, degrading them, you are not helping anybody, and you're definitely not helping yourself, and the world doesn't need it. Honestly, that's my feelings, that's the way it is. If you agree, you agree. If you don't, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm sorry, I really don't care if you don't agree, because it's bullshit. People need to stop doing the crap. They need to stop acting immature or acting like high school kids and grow the fuck up. It's just the way it is, and I'm going to tell it how it is, because I don't act that way. I joke around with guys. I give them crap. It's just the way I am. But if I say something that might be a little too rough, I apologize for it. I own up to my mistakes. And I don't get so freaking drunk that I'm yelling at people on a fucking train to tell them that they're nothing because they can't wear clothes the way I wear them. I'm sorry, but I don't care if they can. If I couldn't wear my civilian clothes, I'd still own the uniform. The nice thing about wearing civilian clothes is I'm not targeted when I go down to the street to have somebody try to fucking get me to buy things from them or have every single person shake my hand, because I don't like shaking everybody's hand because there's a lot of people out there that have diseases, so I don't like doing it. And honestly, I think you guys need word needs to get out there, and people need to freaking start getting on these guys and telling them that they need to stop acting the way they're acting. I can't do it alone. I can't do it by myself, so it is the way it is. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up right here and let you guys leave comments. Leave as many as you can. Please like this video. Share it as much as you can. Subscribe if you freaking like what you see. And I will put up another video as soon as I can, probably after I come back from vacation. So please stay tuned, and I will see you guys next time.